Hey, welcome back for another episode of The Art of Giving a Damn. And I'm excited to have somebody with us today who really personifies what we talk about every week on this show, and that is caring about what you do in your business in a little bit of a different way. So, Michele, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody.
And we've been following each other for quite a few years now online. I remember when you started out, and you've shifted a little bit what you do over the years. So can you tell me about this idea that's right behind you of love-based biz?
So, yeah, it all started with copy, which is still part of what I do. So, I'm a copywriter. I have a copy and marketing business, and copy, in case what you're wondering, it has nothing to do with protecting intellectual property. It's writing promotional materials. And what happened was, I was like your ka-ching marketing strategist.
Yeah.
So my very old, and even before that, I was something else that was even worse. But anyway, so we all start, we do what we can. But what happened was, I had so many of my friends say to me, "Oh, Michele, can you come up with a different way of writing copy?" And they gave me names like conscious copywriting and all these other, and attraction copywriting, and nothing was sticking. And I was resisting it anyways. I was like, ugh, there's so many other people writing copy. What am I, or teaching copy? What do I have to add to it? And then my friend, Susan Liddy, came up with love-based marketing in 2014. And I looked at it and thought, love-based copy. Well, what's the opposite of love-based copy? Fear-based copy. And then that was it. It all downloaded into me, the whole philosophy. And since then, we're on a love-based biz quest on helping everybody shift to love.
I love that idea because so much of what's been out there for so long really is fear-driven. And I think that's why some entrepreneurs, especially the kind you and I tend to work with, the audience that this show has, resist marketing. They resist writing copy because they don't want to sell or invite people to work with them from a place of fear. Right. Is that a conversation you find yourself having a lot?
Yes, all the time. And it's interesting because I just got an email today from somebody, and they actually were talking about these fear-based triggers, and it's so, because even when you don't realize it, that's the thing, is I think that's why so many people don't like it. Is like, it's not that they consciously knew it was fear. It's just it's just what they felt. They felt icky doing it, and so it was just really hard to do it. And so yes, but you don't have to. That's the beauty of really what I'm here to teach and inspire another way.
Well, and I love that because that is a piece that just holds so many people back from really loving the business they've created. Is they love what they do. They love the piece where they work with clients, but when it comes to marketing and sales, they can't push themselves sometimes to even do it. And it really can start to make you resent your business when you feel like you have to sell from a place of fear. So what's maybe the first step or two someone can take if they love this idea and they're going, well, what do I do to sell that way? How do I approach my copy that way?
Okay, so one way, so just to quickly, so I think this might make more sense when I kind of explain it, is that how you persuade anybody to do anything. It's anytime you want anyone to take action. It doesn't matter if it's buying a product or getting your kids to go to bed at the right bedtime. You have to tap into emotions. That is the only way. And so you can either tap into fear. Wait, hold on a second. I just realized I got to blow my nose. we're unplugged here on this.
Hey, that's what happens.
So you can either tap into fear, or you can tap into love. And fear-based emotions are anything like fear, shame, guilt, anger, grief. Now, obviously, some of those emotions, like grief, is certainly not going to be very motivating to get somebody to take action. But things like fear, anxiety, shame, even anger and resentment can be really huge triggers. So the thing is but you don't have to. That's part of the reason why is you can actually tap into the love-based emotions. So one of the first things is to is to put yourself in an abundance mindset as much as you can, because the problem is that if you're stuck in scarcity, and we're all there,
Mm-hmm.
so there's nothing here. So the reason why I think so many of us end up marketing in fear is I mean, you know, you only can do what you can do. So but if you personally are it's feeling very fearful, like you don't know how you're going to pay your bills next month, it's really difficult to have a conversation and not get into that desperation, pursuing energies. So if you can kind of sit down and ground yourself and really feel like, the best and highest good. And I'm not saying don't feel those feelings. Eventually you're going to need to feel them. Maybe not at the moment when you're making a sales call or writing
Right.
some marketing copy. And if you can really hang on to being attached to it working out for everyone's highest good, and the highest good includes you getting financially taken care of, and but not committed to like this person signing up, because that might not be at everybody's highest good. So if you can manage to be, stay committed to that but not attached to the
Mm-hmm.
specific outcome in front of you, that's going to go a long way to starting to have you shift into being able to market and sell yourself with love.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And that is, it's interesting that you bring up the piece around mindset and some of those other things, because really the concept that you've tapped into here with love-based biz is so much bigger than just copy and sales. And I know you've got a whole series of books about it. So what are the different pieces of this?
Yeah, so I have a love-based copy. That's the first one, and that's really what it came down to. And so I like to start there. And if you think it doesn't work, I mean, over the last 8 years, I've sold, between myself and my clients over $50 million in copy using love-based copy and marketing. So it absolutely can work. It's just, like I said, it's different. So it might feel uncomfortable because it's just a
Mm-hmm.
different way of looking at it. And then I also have love-based online marketing. And then I have Love Based Money and Mindset. And I actually have a podcast on Love Based Money, because I feel like that is one of the relationships that we have. Our relationship with
Mm-hmm.
money is so fraught with fear. I know it
Yeah.
was with me, because, that's the heart of it. I mean, it's like it's fear, scarcity. Not only is it, trying to make it, but then once you have the money, losing the money. I mean,
Right.
there's so many places. And then Love Based Goals is coming out in December. And that one is about, because we all have goals, those goals that are sitting on our list that we are not doing. Why, even though we
Mm-hmm.
want to, and we keep saying, why aren't we doing it? Well, it's probably this book might help.
Okay. All right. So, what are some of the reasons maybe that we have those goals? Because I'm sure everybody listening has that. They've got a couple of things on their list that have probably been on their list for a while, maybe even a few years, that still aren't getting done. So, where do you start to kind of align that when what you say you want and what you seem to be doing just aren't lining up?
So there's a couple places to start. First off, I would think I think that part of what's going on is you don't see yourself as the person. So let's say you want to be a non-smoker. Like, let's say you're smoking and you've been trying to kick the habit for. So this is beyond business. This is where I'm going with this. This is why I picked the non-business one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you don't see yourself as a non-smoker, if you see yourself as a smoker who keeps trying to quit, you're never going to quit. Just like if you see yourself as, if and you might not, I mean, you might be thinking to yourself, well, of course I don't. I mean, and I get it, but but the thing is that, what if what you've been trying to do hasn't been working, let's try something else. And so let's
Right,
dig
right.
and really get to the heart of how you see yourself. So if you are a writer and you have been talking about finishing your book or starting your book for years now and you haven't started it, maybe that's because you see yourself as a wannabe writer who is always at the brink of starting something but never actually does it or
Mm.
finishes it. Same with all the business stuff. So your identity, how you see yourself, is really important. And if your identity isn't matching up with the goal,
Mhm.
that's where I feel like, going through some of the mindset blocks and the other things that are standing in your way, like why you are procrastinating, why the stuff keeps falling off. And I have a whole chapter on procrastinating too, because that's something that I had a big problem with. But I do really feel like those are the things that are blocking you.
Mhm. Well, and the interesting thing is that that concept is so much bigger than even just goals, because really it's a lot of times what stops us from building that successful business, because we don't
Yeah,
see ourselves as the successful business owner. We don't see
exactly.
ourselves as the expert in what we do.
Or that
So
we have something of value to share, or that we should be
yes.
paid well for our offerings, or that,
Mhm.
who am I? Anytime we got that, who am I? Like, who am I to have this message? Who am I to do this? That is actually standing in your way of, in more ways than one, I guess you
Yeah.
said.
Absolutely. So when you work with clients and you're going over, either their copy or these different pieces, what do you do when they run into that where you can see they're really struggling with stepping into what their purpose and what they're really passionate about because they don't see themselves that way yet? How do you coach them through that conversation?
So, I think one of the things is, and I think this is really important for all the coaches listening, is that there's only so much as a coach you can do.
Mhm.
So you can hold the space, which I try to do. You can encourage them to do the mindset work, but you can't do the work for you. You
Mhm.
can't see their goals stronger than
Right.
you can. So so I think that the thing is, holding space is big. I think that's, so I think just, seeing it, reminding them of themselves, of where they want to go, and maybe even having them take a step back and do some meditation or journaling, or just really kind of
Mhm.
get clear as to what it is. But because you're right, used to have clients before I got some of this. I mean, this was years and years ago, but I would give them copy and they wouldn't even use it. Not because they didn't like it or they didn't resonate with it. I mean, they would pay me, but they would
Mhm.
use it. And I talked to
Mhm.
one of them, I still remember this. I talked to one of them later and he's like, I couldn't do it. And I didn't real at the time, this was a long time ago. This was over 10 years ago. And so I
Mhm.
didn't have the tools to see it now, but I see it now that he wasn't ready to step into it. He didn't see himself as having anything to offer. And
Mm.
his information product that he created was really very, much about him, and he couldn't. And that's why he couldn't do it. He could never market. I don't know what he ended up doing. So I love it. But yeah, that's really power. That's really happens a lot.
And that's something that, like you said, when you're working with other people, you can't do the work for them. But I think, like you said, holding space is really important, and also being that example, because I know one of the things that has really helped me in the the adventure of entrepreneurship is seeing other entrepreneurs really step into their purpose and their passion and realizing, okay, if they did that, I can do that too. So I think being that example for people is
Yes.
really important as well.
Yes, and
So
people can sense it too, even like emotionally. So don't
mm,
be, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to post those memes on Facebook. I mean, just your presence sometimes can be enough.
yeah, absolutely. So, what is your absolute favorite part of what you do in business today?
So what I really love is being able. And this is what's always gotten me excited, is that I love what I offer, like the fact that I'm out here helping other entrepreneurs get their
Mhm.
work out into the world,
Mhm.
because I feel like I'm really doing something that's changing everything, because not only am I helping them get their work out and so they can make
Mhm.
money doing what they love, but the thing is that all those people out there that have been waiting
Mhm.
for their message, and that's what they need to make their life better,
Mhm.
they wouldn't find them without the marketing. And so how
Yeah.
can we market in a way that feels good? And because I'm a big believer that your marketing should and sales process should replicate your transformation. So if you're to
Love that.
so if you bring them in with fear, that's why I mean it can work, but that's why it can
Mhm.
sometimes derail the transformation process. So what can we do to really hold that space, even if it is tough love? I'm not saying if just because it's love based means it's all roses. Tough love is tough love is love too. So sometimes letting them just feel the pain, and just being there and supporting them and letting them cry, letting them do whatever, holding that space can be really powerful. So
Mhm.
that's what I really just love, is being out there really inspiring people to get their work out there in a bigger way to help the people that are waiting for 'em.
I love that. And that's a piece that so many entrepreneurs really do need support with. They need somebody to tell them it's okay to do that. It's something that by learning that it's okay not to market in fear, it really frees people to approach their business from a different way.
Exactly. And that it
Yeah.
works. I mean, it really, you can do it successfully.
Yeah. Well, $50 million in sales kind of says this approach probably works.
It can. Really?
Um,
Because I think a lot of people don't believe it, but it really can work.
yeah. And I think you're right about what you said a second ago about the emotions of the sales process being important to what you're delivering to clients in your transformation. I know the times that I have bought because I was afraid, because somebody really
Yeah.
dug into the pain of, if you don't do this, everything in your life's going to go wrong and your pet's going to die type sales copy. You've seen it.
Yeah.
You come from such a place of fear when you're trying to implement what you're learning that you're still feeling that emotion. It's overwhelming. And it's hard to get results when you're in that place and you're not coming in from a place of, hey, oh, I see the potential. I'm excited. I have hope. I can do this. It makes such a difference in the results our clients get.
Yeah, and I don't have any stats for this, and but I think I like to get them because I also think that buyer's remorse is higher when you bring them
Yes,
in with fear because then it's like that you've got the letdown. And what happens
absolutely.
when you do anything with fear,
Mhm.
like so think about like all the stuff you do, like you post an unwise Facebook rant because you're angry, or you start an argument, or you gossip, or you take a
Yeah,
drink or eat that rocky road. All of those actions that you take because you're feeling a fear-based emotion, you always have well, not always, but a lot of times you have some sort of guilt or remorse after. So it also makes sense that if you buy a product because through fear or
right.
shame, you're going to have remorse because that's how it always works. So that's why if you can stay on the love-based side and don't trigger that,
Mhm.
buyer's remorse also will go down.
Yeah. And I think part of that too is sometimes when we buy things because of negative emotions, we end up feeling guilty like we got swindled. We
Exactly.
feel like we were taken advantage of. And it's funny that you say about the stats. I would actually love to see stats on that.
I
But
would too.
I remember when I first started out in business, most of the people I worked with were very conscious of how they marketed, how they did their sales calls, and they didn't use as many of the negative emotions. And at one point, I kind of moved a little bit within the industry and started working with a different group. And seeing the refund rates was shocking to me because I was like, nobody asks for a refund in the part of the world I'm from. I don't even understand this concept. And
Yeah.
it was, well, we make more sales. I'm like, I don't know that I want to make sales at that cost of, making people feel that way. So I don't
Yeah,
have
refund
like
rates
stats
absolutely.
to compare, but
Oh yeah, no, that because the buyer's remorse is a little harder to track, but refund rates absolutely go up if you when you use fear based. So that's absolutely true. So yes, and that's part of it because you're right. That's part of the whole buyer's remorse, and then refunds go up, or people that are unhappy, or people who
mm-hmm,
aren't coming to you because they're stuck. I mean, if they're
mm-hmm,
if they're battling their own demons, and you brought them in with fear, how are they going to trust you that and come to
exactly.
you in that
Yeah.
partnership, or
Mm-hmm.
or as you being able to help them? I mean, they're not. That's why I think thinking about how we bring people in is so important.
It really is, because you're right. You have to have that trust with somebody, not that they can make you feel fear, but that they can help you fix it. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were going through a sales page, and they made the statement to me, I know right here I'm supposed to dig in and cause people pain. And I said, wait, hang on for a second. Is your audience already in pain? Are they
Yep.
already feeling that way? Because you don't need to dig into it. You need to identify it so
Yes.
they know you get it.
Right.
But you need to do the opposite. Help them see there's a potential to
Yeah.
fix that and change it. And when we talked about that for a minute, it was like a light bulb, right? Of, oh, I can do this a different way, because I think a lot of people just don't even realize there's another way to approach
Yeah, respectfully acknowledge, I think, is huge, not agitate, which is
it.
exactly what you
Right.
were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. So I know that for anybody who is curious about how to apply this concept a little more to what they're doing, and to shift their marketing, to shift their sales, to shift how they approach their business into that love-based approach, you've got a free ebook people can grab, and it's called How to Start a Business You Love and That Loves You Back, which sounds amazing. I would, I prefer my business love me and I love it. That's a
I
much
know.
better relationship,
All in
right?
love.
So people can go to lovebasedbiz.com to grab a copy of that.
Yeah, and the podcast is there too. And also, even if
Awesome.
you have a business but you don't love it, this will help you as well. So it's also for existing business owners who are not feeling that loving feeling with their business, or they don't think their business, or they don't think their business loves them back either.
There are those days, but as you really get clear on what your purpose is and what your passion is, it gets easier to build your business around that and really create something that you do love, that you do get up excited in the morning to tackle, not just working with your clients or creating your products, even your marketing.
Yes.
All right. So I appreciate so much you hopping on today for a few minutes here with us. I know that those listening are maybe rethinking a little bit how they approach what they do. So what's one thought that you'd like to leave everybody with when it comes to that love-based approach in your business and your marketing?
So, first of all, don't judge yourself. So, we've all made mistakes, and you are in the exact right place. And, so be patient with yourself and be good to yourself, and don't beat yourself up, or, do the best you can to not beat yourself up. I know, realize for some of us, it's a long ingrained trait, but quite honestly, it's not helping anybody. And,
Yeah,
and just know in the future, I mean, we're human. So, you've likely done some of this in the past. You likely will do it again in the future, and that's okay. Just, take a deep breath and forgive yourself and move on. And because that's part of this too, is being good to yourself, and just, this is a journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, it's a journey. And just keep taking one step, if just long as you keep one step in front, even if you fall down, or it's okay, get back up, dust yourself up, try again.
I love that. Every day, just get a little closer.
Exactly.
And make sure you grab Michelle's ebook. Again, it's at lovebasedbiz.com. And you'll want to stick around. Check out her podcast. Check out her blog. There is a ton of helpful info there that will really help you to shift the way you look at this piece of your business, and maybe even fall just a little bit in love with how you approach your marketing. So don't miss that. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, make sure you subscribe to the podcast if you haven't yet. Wherever you are watching this, there's a subscribe button somewhere nearby, and come back and join us for another episode.